So a few days ago, I watched this clip of Barack Obama yelling at young black men. Something to the effect of, you got to vote for Kamala. She's got black skin. You're black. What's wrong with you? You got to support her. She's black. And it was disgusting to watch, but I had to laugh a little bit because for the last several years, I've kind of likened what's going on in the planet and the globe with slavery. There is an effort by globalists to enslave planet Earth. They have the masters and they have us, the slaves. And they've made it very clear, we will own nothing, but we will be happy. Now, the slave owners, the masters, they're the individuals that have the big money, people like Bill Gates and George Soros. They're the families that have even bigger money, like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. And they're the corporations which control even bigger money, like Vanguard and BlackRock. They want to be the masters. They want to tell us on planet Earth, here's how we will do things. And as long as we comply, we're in good shape. And it struck me because a week earlier, John Kerry made this comment about, from the WEF, made this comment about how there's too much misinformation going around and we've got to figure out a way how to shut down social media networks because they're letting people say whatever they want and it's all disinformation or it's all misinformation. So we've got to get back to a point where we can get the truth out to the people and save their lives, make it safe for them, make sure they hear our word and only our words. So this movement by the global elites to enslave planet Earth is being interrupted. It's being interrupted by things like the internet. So anyway, as I saw Barack Obama talk, it just kind of clearly came out of what this whole enslavement thing is like. It's like the old plantations back in the 1820s and 1830s in the United States. You had your masters, you had your foremen, then you had your slaves. And among the slaves, you had house Negroes and field Negroes. That's kind of what the structure, that's a very simplified version, that's kind of what the structure was like. So if we fast forward to today, we see that same structure happening. And understand something, for those who don't know this, black people aren't really a target for Democrats. What the Democrats target are black votes. They don't really care what goes on in a black person's life. They don't care if they're struggling. They don't care if they're rich. All they want is that black vote. And since roughly the 60s, with the advent of things like, the war on poverty and the Great Society, programs have been established, and some of them were targeting specifically black people to break up the black family, and they want to keep them, if you will, in metaphorical chains by giving them crap for schools, keeping them in poverty, and they're trying to keep them stupid. And the way they kept them stupid is the masters needed house Negroes. And house Negroes would be Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton, Joy Reid, or I think it's a Joy Reid. I've heard her speak. She's a perfect house Negro. Barack Obama is a house Negro. They get people who have dark skin to talk to black people because they think they'll have more credibility. Because they can't actually take a black person and march him to the poll and make him fill out the ballot. But the closest thing they can do is convince the black person that a Democrat vote is the only vote that's going to offer hope. Even though for the last 60 years they've made no progress. Nonetheless, they've kept control because they've kept control of the narrative. And now the narrative is breaking out. So what we just saw happen with Barack Obama is they marched out their house Negro to metaphorically whip the backs of these black slaves and tell them to get back on the plantation. Vote for Kamala. Don't think on your own. Don't go out and research on your own. Don't believe for a second that your mind is any different than every other black mind. All black minds are alike. All black lives are alike. All black experiences alike. All black stories is alike. And you can't vote away from what the black heard, how they vote. That's what they've done. They've got away with it for about 40 or 50 years, but the internet is starting to crack that. The truth is starting to come out because the masters who owned the media And back in my day, it was just the three big networks, and then you had cable, and you had CNN and others. But by the 1990s, in case you don't know this, 90% of the media, I'm talking print and screen, 90% of the media, and this includes Hollywood, is owned by like 6 companies. Those 6 companies are beholden to the masters because Vanguard and BlackRock will tell those 6 companies what they better do to earn what they call their ESG points. So it's all connected. They being those who want to control us, have been building this new kind of 21st century slavery plantation. We'll be able to move around, but they're going to tell us what kind of house we live in. They're going to tell us what kind of car we drive. They're going to tell us where we can travel. They're going to tell us how and often we can travel. They're going to tell us what we can eat. They're going to control everything. And as long as we abide by that, we're good to go. They were kind of on target because the Democrat Party is in the pocket of the masters. And of course, they loved Joe Biden. They loved Barack Obama. Along came Trump. They're scared to death of Donald Trump. They need to keep him from getting elected. So they've tried a lot of things up to and including assassination. And they failed, and they're getting worried now. So what they just did 3 days ago with Barack Obama, they got on the phone and said, hey, boy, I want you to go out there and whip those black boys and get them back on the plantation. That's effectively what happened. Barack Obama, the House Negro, came out and started cracking his whip over the backs of young black men saying, vote like I tell you, goddammit. That's what happened 3 days ago. That's how scared the global elites, the masters, are. We have got to break the plantation. We have got to destroy the plantation. And I'm telling you, this is not a Republican. This is not Democrat. This is not black. This is not white. If you believe you can make the choices for you better than anyone else, if you believe that you should be able to determine your own future, if you believe that you should be able to speak your own mind, and if you believe that you should be able to earn your own living, you cannot vote for Kamala. Kamala is another House Negro who will do whatever her masters tell her. Now, Donald Trump is not perfect. He's got a lot of problems in different areas. I don't know if he'd ever be my best friend. But he does see what's going on in the world, and he wants Americans to be cared for by our government. He wants our government to focus on us. He wants to get rid of all of the crap that the masters have built in our government for the last 40 years. He wants to get rid of, he calls it the swamp, and that's probably a pretty good name. It's 20, 30, 40 years old, and he's going to be fighting a lot of it. But understand, a vote for Trump, you're going to bring people in like Robert F. Kennedy. I mean, he has done more for medicine and health, the issue of medicine and health, than any other politician. He has stood toe-to-toe right against the big drug companies. You have a person like Tulsi Gabbard. She was just nothing but a patriot. She, as a Democrat, she was embraced by the Democrats back in 2010 when she was first elected. I think it was within her first 12 months as a congresswoman, they made her the vice chair of the Democrat Party. And then she started seeing things that she didn't care for within the Democrat Party, and she started not voting the way they wanted her to vote. She started not acting like a slave, and they just kicked her to the curb. And by 2020, she was a Russian agent, according to Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump brings people like Elon Musk. I don't know if you saw what he just did with his booster. He fired a rocket into space, and the main booster detached, dropped back down, and landed upright at the tower, at the launch site. I mean, it just landed right back where it started from. That has never been done in human history. So you've got this visionary who sees how we as human beings could reach out to the stars. You have people like Tulsi Gabbard who understands what it is not to get in all these wars, who is a true patriot. And you have people like Robert F. Kennedy who stood strong and is standing strong against drug companies. And you have a person like Donald Trump who wants to bring that team together to break up the plantation. That's what a vote for Trump is. If you're voting for Kamala because she's black, if you're voting for Kamala because she's a woman, you are a slave. You can get off that plantation if you choose to. Anyway, I just had to share that. I hope I hope we can get Donald Trump in that White House. We need to save our country. Take care. I just watched that video before I posted it, and I thought I want to clarify something. It seems that I was suggesting that we have to worry about the Democrat National Committee or the Democrat Party. The fact is, the Republican Party is also in the pocket of the globalists. Republicans and Democrats for 40, 50 years have been destroying our country. Donald Trump wants to break that. Quite frankly, if you look at Donald Trump's policies, they're not Republican. That's why conservatives hate him. The old, what do they call themselves? Never Trumpers. Um, those who hate Trump are slaves to the masters. So they're going to stand at the master's behest. They're going to stand against Trump. They don't stand against Trump because he's with this monster they're trying to create. They stand against Trump because they're told to stand against Trump. Anyway, just wanted to clarify that.